that they both agreed on. Democrats are like, the way that we will get people to the polls, our people to the polls, is by saying, this is a check on the president, however you want to define that. Like that this is about impeachment. This is about just stopping the bleeding in terms of another Obamacare repeal, another tax reform, more immigration stuff. We seem to have gone 2 years without Donald Trump being able to secure funding for the border wall or begin meaningful construction on a border wall. So like that would be that, right? Let alone this like chain migration kind of stuff.
Right.
So this would be a check on the president.
Right.
So here, let me lay out something that I laid out in my newsletter, which you can get at freepoliticalnewsletter.com.
Yeah, and y'all should do that, by the way. Go get it. It's there. It's available.
It's free. These are the 3 ways that tonight ends.
Okay.
All right. There are 3 ways.
All right.
Number 1, big, beautiful blue wave, right? This is overperforms the polls. That means that not only do the Democrats take the House, they also take the Senate. If we're going to do that, then we're also going to throw in some of the battleground governorships that are really big, like Florida and Georgia, which you might think, that's not the Senate, that's not Congress. That means a lot, specifically in who's running. Andrew Gillum and Stacey Abrams are both black, and Stacey Abrams is a woman. If Stacey Abrams wins, she's the first female black governor in American history. Andrew Gillum would be the first black governor in Florida's history, and would be the first Democrat in quite a long time. Now, that being said, not only do those 2 winning in those states, which are battleground states, big swing states in 2020, matter because it shows that statewide elections can be won by people that don't normally look like the folks that are sitting in the governor's mansions, but also because now 2020 candidates on the left side will have a friendly force to guide them through not only the state, but also the donor networks there. So if this happens, if the wave crests in the biggest possible way, blue tsunami, that means that we are now at absolute Trump locked in the Oval Office. Pretty much the only way that he can affect the world is to tweet and have executive orders.
Yeah.
So now this will just be it's all about being contained. It'll be a validation for the Democrats that, hey, look, everybody hated Trump. We called it right. We've now taken both houses. And the 2020 race now becomes who's going to do something with this machine. So you would think that the person that would appeal most to voters going forward is, now that we have control of both houses, this is what I am going to do with it.
Yeah.
Right.
Much similar to how Trump said, like, hey, look, we have both houses, so we're going to build a wall. We're going to do this, and we're going to repeal Obamacare, yada, yada, yada. Right?
Yeah.
So,
well, except last night where he told all his gatherers that make sure you vote for Republicans because the Democrats are going to come and gut Obamacare. Like, that's what he said to those people from a pulpit.
Right.
I mean, you've seen there has been a very meaningful shift on the right to embrace pre-existing conditions specifically. That's something that has always appealed to a lot of people, but there is low key behind the scenes. There is a very interesting break happening in Republican fundraising away from drug companies specifically, and you're starting to see a little bit of a break with insurance companies, which is where a lot of GOP fight to the death on like stuff like pre-existing conditions has already happened. But Donald Trump's already floated like a drug capping plan, and that's normally the verboten amongst GOP circles, just because, you know, that sweet pharma money don't.
Yeah, I mean, I never quite believe anything he says, but that was a bit of a shocking statement.
That's not just him. That's something that's kind of rippled through Congress as well, and it's become a new thing. Now, the Democrats have and will continue to say, "Why should we believe you? Like, you're literally just lying," and that'll be what that fight's over.
Yeah.
So, all right, if the most likely thing happens, that is, by all the available models and metrics, so believe them as much as you are going to believe them, the Democrats will take the House and the Republicans will keep the Senate, although with a narrow majority. This is largely because a lot of the Senate seats that are in play today are in red states. They are in battleground states and red states. So, for example, like Beto versus Ted Cruz. That's a gigantic election, probably the most famous, name-wise election that we have so far in the Senate. And yet, it's hard to do. It's hard for a Democrat to win a statewide election in Texas. It just by the numbers. It is a very hard thing to do.
Right.
So if that happens, we are now in a stalemate.
Yeah.
You're going to see the House needle Trump in any way that they possibly can. Probably, starting with Mueller for sure, but also trying to go for his tax returns and literally everything else. Right.
Right.
But effectively now this becomes like, if that's the case, then 2020 is on more than anything that we could, than any of these three scenarios. Like, this is about the election in 2020 if there is a split decision with the Senate and the House, because nothing's going to happen. It's all going to be gridlock, and it's all going to be noise, and all of that noise will feed into the 2020 election.
Right. I could totally see that. So do you think he's he being Trump? Well, that's a dumb question because I already know the answer to it. Let's just say this. Do you think there's a chance of it not being a stalemate, of not being 50-50, of this blue wave all the Democrats seem to want? Do you think that actually takes hold? Like, what do you think it means? Like, polling numbers.
There's one more thing.
Okay.
So we have three ways that tonight ends.
Yeah.
Okay.
The one way that it also can end is the same way it ended in 2016. And there is an endemic polling error. The enthusiasm on the right is way higher than anybody really expects. And not only do the Democrats fail to take the House, they also fail to take the Senate. The biggest thing here is, number one, it is a total reset button for the Democrats. You have to go back and relook at literally every decision that was made from the 2016 election. Tone, tenor, how hard they pushed on stuff, the rhetoric used. This would be a gigantic failure of messaging party-wide for the Democrats. For the Republicans, they'd actually have to do something. They would actually, the mandate, this would be a gigantic mandate for Trump. And also we would be in the land, we would be in like 80s Reagan optimism for conservatives. It would be 2 elections in a row, massive, big attention elections in a row in which no polls could tell them nothing. It is just on for Republican enthusiasm. So what do I think? I'm going to be boring and say that I think it's going to be the stalemate. I'm going to go with the I'm going to go with the models. I'm going to go with the polling. I don't trust my gut in any way after 2016 in terms of betting things. So I can make some picks in some races, but I really don't have any sense that anything other than what is historically likely, by the way. Historically, the president's party loses seats, and almost assuredly the Republicans will lose seats in the House. The question is, how many seats do they lose? I believe they have like a 30-something seat advantage now, or a 50-seat advantage. I forget. I should know this. But if they lose a portion of that, but not all of it, then they keep it, and that is a massive win for them.
Yeah, I think I tend to agree. Like
it also feels like a safer, like, not get your hopes up kind of stance to take, which I feel like we need after 2016.
I guess here's also I am more sure that the Democrats won't win the Senate than I am sure that they will win the House. Like I would actually bet money that they are not going to win the Senate. Now that's something that I'm sure won't haunt me tomorrow.
How much money do you want to bet?
I can bet upwards of $25.
Oh my,
$25.
That's how much Bill Duran. I'm sorry, it was 20, but Bill Duran witnessed at BlizzCon a $20 bribe to a security guard to let him in without going through security and going through metal detectors, and the guy took it, and Bill filmed it, and then got the guy fired. I meant to talk about that on the show with him.
We did. Oh, well, yeah, we talked about it yesterday on the show, but we didn't talk with him.
Yeah, I was wondering. I wanted to get Bill's perspective on that. But anyway, that's a pretty cheap bet.
Oh wait! Oh, you want to go? Are you a money hustler? I didn't know that. I didn't know that was in your. I didn't know you were an action addict.
Not really a gambling man. Although I got the poker chips in. I wish I had them here to show. They turned out amazing.
God,
you guys
boxes look awesome.
Oh, it's well beyond what I expected. Yeah. It turned out great. So
I saw one in person. It's so cool.
Oh yeah, you did. Oh yeah, you did.
When are those in my hands?
They're shipping now, is my understanding, and it's all in. It's all happening. It's like now. It's all about just shipping them. Shippy, ship. Everyone's shipping. We're shipping. It's coming.
Are you putting them on sale for like Black Friday?
They will be. If we get everything shipped and we then have an idea of what we've got left, then yes. The answer is yes. Yeah. That's the plan. That's why the rush right now. But I think we will definitely have some decks left. Which decks we have and what stuff we have left, I don't know, but very pleased across the board with all that stuff. Mm-hmm. But anyway, so today will be. How soon do you think you have? Like, when tonight do you go? All right, well, this looks like how things turned out, or do you have to wait till everything's counted and we're done?
The Senate. If the Senate's gonna flip, that will come down quicker. Just in that there are less decisions. There are less things that affect that, right? The Senate right now is a very thin margin. So if you see a Beto O'Rourke upsetting a Ted Cruz, then that goes a long way. But also remember, the Democrats not only have to defend all their home turf in the Senate, they have to pick off Republican seats as well. So there are a lot of Democratic seats that are up for vote in either red states or swing states. So Joe Manchin is a Democrat in a red state. Heidi Heitkamp's almost certainly going to lose in a red state. Bill Nelson is up in Florida against a fairly popular Republican governor and Rick Scott. That race is really, really tight. So not only do you have to defend the fort there, you have to go kind of perfect in those, but then you also have to pick off the like Ted Cruz's of the world.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be,
but there's just less. There's less of that. Whereas the House is always a hard thing to gauge because like there's so many races and so much of it has little to do with what's happening nationally. Like despite the fact that they get a national vote, they're in a national Congress, their vote counts for things. In general, it's such a miasma that nobody can really tell. There's no narrative that can harden beyond your red team, I'll vote for you. Your blue team, I'll vote for you. Like there, and like I always like to say, all politics is local. So no matter what, you are more likely to be voted for or not voted for because you are for putting the stoplight north of the Kentucky Fried Chicken as opposed to south of the Kentucky Fried Chicken than you are about your vote on whether or not we should invade Iraq.
Yeah. No, that's true. That's very true. Get to know your local stuff, Brian. You got to know your sheriff and everything.
Exactly. Listen, I'll strongly consider, I won't say guaranteed vote, but any candidate in 2020 that says they're going to get rid of daylight savings time is really going to be close to getting my vote. Unless, well, let's just say unless they're the incumbent.
Ah, I see. So that's not even going to sway on Trump if he gets up and goes, hey, no more daylight savings time. That's not
right. That wouldn't even be enough for me to say, you know what? I'll put up with all the other crap that comes with it.
It's funny because he's like one cheer at a rally away from making the signature.
Totally.
2020
I'm going to take daylight savings daylight savings time away, and I'm going to make the Mexicans pay for it.
If he says that, and it gets the kind of ovation that he got for talking about Kaepernick, then it's over.
Oh yeah,
that's a good point.
Simon's toast.
Yeah, well, it's going to be interesting to say the least. I'm voting right after the show today. Encourage everyone else to do that, regardless of your
Me
persuasion.
too, actually. I'm gonna leave right here and go walk over to my polling place and go vote. I always like to do it in person.
Me too.
I like the ritual.
Oh,
I like it too.
Yeah, no, not me.
Yeah,
Brian's
let me get my
Brian's mail in, and
Brian's always mailing it in. You just say Brian mails it in. That's what we always say. Yeah.
If I could have phoned it in, I would have done that. But no, we actually didn't mail it. We did drop it off at the polling place at the Arvada police station where they got the box.
Nice,
but,
nice.
Yeah.
I was telling Brian earlier on the show, but I've got a friend who's volunteering at my local polling place, and I want to just go, tease him and laugh at him, and then also be impressed that he's doing this all day because he's totally dedicating his day to a thing, and I think that's kind of a big deal. Took the day off, took a vacation day to do it, and he's not getting paid. Well, except for vacation.
That's another. I don't know. I keep floating this idea of I feel like we should have an order, like a monk-like order of people that safeguard elections.
Oh yeah, dude.
Oh yeah.
Like they're the
I
Illuminati.
I would join that. I would I care about it. I just don't want to. I don't want to take crap from some idiot. I just want to be a part.
That's why it should be a secret society.
Yeah, that's right.
Secret order of monks.
No, totally transparent. Just one of those things that's dedicated to. A, safeguarding elections, and B, making elections as transparent as possible, because that's where we get a lot of these problems. It's here's the thing that you're going to read about 1 million times today. These voters aren't able to vote, or the voting machines are making them vote for the wrong thing. And both sides are going to spin it as, well, look at the conspiracy to keep my guy out. When in reality, this is what happens when you have a volunteer workforce who works 1 day a year that all of a sudden has the national eye of Sauron on them that are gonna fuck something up. It's going to happen. I'm sorry for cursing.
It's all right. Hey, I know how to beep these things. It's not a problem.
But yeah, it's just look. There's gonna be a little bit of rat poop in the pudding here. We're just making a lot. We're not professionals, but I would think, I don't know, if there was some. I feel like there were we got all these billionaires running around throwing money at space and digging holes and stuff like that. I'm just saying, what if we just put a couple $1 million into a pot, and you just had to make sure that it'd be like being in the Army Reserves. 1 weekend a month, you have to go and test yourself up on all this stuff and get ready for election day when we are now going to make it easier, faster, and more secure to vote, and we're not just relying on anyway. So Jim, do you want to stand by the box?
Yeah, I mean, maybe it's a job for advanced AI autonomous sort of beings, and we'll get there one day where they're making a choice to do this, but they don't have the emotional baggage that it would be a terrible thing to be doing all year long. They don't have to sleep, they don't have to eat, they don't have to do anything. They just safeguard the voting. They safeguard it. They're strong enough to be security if they need to be. The problem is you almost need another cabal of monks to make sure the machines aren't being meddled with. So it's kind of an endless thing.
That's my point. No. This is this is my new monastic order that I want to start is that, look, we should be getting to a point where a lot of this stuff is more standardized. We should be putting more security into this. We should be actually attending some of these DEF CON demonstrations where these Diebold machines are being hacked, right?
Yeah.
We should be figuring out ways to do it. We should be, and look, I think that it should be more open source. We should have something that you could maybe not in real time, but you can watch a time lapse of real time afterward how all these votes came in. There's no reason why that should not be the case in our modern era, in a way that we can feel more safe about it. And I think that's and can not have these screw ups and not have I already saw one in one of the Carolinas. It was oh, it's too humid, so the ballots aren't functioning correctly. When it's look, I'm always going to be open to the fact that there's some sort of international conspiracy or a party conspiracy to do something, but I tend to think that that's more along the lines of the fact that Scott texted me 3 weeks ago and said Blizzard PR has organized the beginning of Metzen's return to power.
It didn't happen. It didn't happen. This is a conspiracy.
Listen, I have the text right here. This has been organized for months. I'm
Yeah.
telling you, Pierce.
Yeah.
This is Matson's coming back to Blizzard. Cancel Diablo.
You heard it here first.
It's a really good Alex Jones. Thank you for that. I appreciate it.
No. But I tend to think that it's more of a conspiracy. I would tend to believe that it's more just because there's a bunch of volunteer people who have no idea what they're doing and they're screwing up because there's a lot of passions running high.
Yeah, that sounds like my friend who will be at my polling place today. Well, all right.
Are you voting? You're voting for Mittens?
Probably not. I'm under the. Here's my current stance, and again, a reminder to everyone listening. In past elections, I have often voted Republican. I think I'm going to go straight blue ticket, and the reason I'm going to do it is because I feel like everybody is complicit in my old party to what I think Trump is doing to hurt the country, and so because of that complicitness, I kind of just want to vacuum out the car and go a different direction, and they can earn it back. They can earn it back if they want to, but really earn it and not just be complicit buttholes. So that's why I think I'm doing that today. I will get there and probably still have some thoughts about what I want to do, but I'm not convinced Mittens or anyone else would actually stand up to the guy. And those who have stood up to him, the Kasichs of the world and people like that, that's great. Most of the other ones that do are usually, are retiring, and so they don't really have anything to lose. Somebody in the chat says, "Are you gonna vote Hatch out?" Hatch is leaving. He's retiring.
No. Yeah, no. Mittens is running for Hatch's seat and will almost certainly win.
Yeah.
So there's part of that where I can understand. It's look the guy who voted for his mom in California, understanding that my vote did not matter. I will in no way fault you for theatrically pushing your vote one way or another.
Yeah, Mittens will probably win. He's polling pretty high here, as one would expect, but I will take him. I'd take him over Hatch for sure.
He would be theoretically. He is positioning himself as the new McCain.
He is doing that, yes.
That McCain is now dead. The person that has replaced McCain is far more a reliable Republican vote in the Senate, and Mittens would be, much like Lisa Murkowski and Susan Collins in Maine and Alaska, respectively, would be a skeptical Republican vote that would have to be won over.
That is correct. The question is whether he would be the Flake kind, which Flake is always like, oh, I'm very concerned, but then he always votes party line every time. McCain still often voted party line, but at least sometimes didn't, and sometimes lived up to his maverick thing. And I think that's good to have that in there. And I'm not looking. I don't want this to go full. Everyone's in Trump's back pocket to being full. Everybody's just a liberal. I'm not looking for that in our country. I'm looking for balance. I'm looking for a return to the right kind of balance.
I mean, a lot of the stuff that was voted for, though, was fairly like things that Republicans would normally vote for, like tax reform. That's, put that on the, like, that's a morning routine for a Republican Congress that controls both houses, right? That's just what they do. Confirming 2 Supreme Court justices, that's kind of your job, right? That's part of what you campaign on, is that you're going to put those justices on the bench.
Right.
Now, you can certainly fault folks for being not more of a check, or not aggressively trying to move, for not passing legislation that would make sure that Mueller couldn't be fired. But I think the voting record there was not tremendously outside of what the Republicans have been campaigning on for years, even before Trump.
Yeah. No, you're not wrong about that. I don't know. I want to return to some.
Look, I think that this is what the Democrats are counting on, is that there is such an anger about Donald Trump that they will be pulling votes from places that they would not normally get them. So that is their bet. And again, this is what I put out on Twitter. Both parties decided that this midterm was about Donald Trump. Only one can be right. We are going to find out.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, I don't know what else they could have made it about. They kind of have to, They have to. What else are they going to do? What else is the thing? Right. Hey, just pretend that Trump's not in the room not a winning thing.
I mean, I think obviously no matter what, the midterms is a referendum on the president, right? But and the Democrats did dial this back a little bit because it's not like the entire midterms was about vote for us, we're impeaching him. Mm-hmm. That's certainly an undercurrent, specifically for some of the hardcores, but it's not that. And by the way, I don't even know. I was thinking about that yesterday. I have no idea. This Mueller thing needs to get wrapped up like 2 weeks after today, because it's like there's no way you're going to be able to impeach somebody in the middle of a 2020 campaign. And by the way, the 2020 campaign begins tonight.
Yeah.
Tonight. It is on tonight. Look, this is what I want everybody, and I'm going to spoil a little bit of the ending of the show tonight, which you should all come to, bit.ly/WaveWatch, only 3 tickets left. If you're in the Bay Area tonight, 7 o'clock
nice.
In San Francisco, Piano Fight Theater.
Go. You should go. Are you all prepared? Have you written a thing? Are you good?
Oh, it's all written. We got all the media, we got all the ads, we got all the pictures. It's going to be great. It's
fantastic. I'm excited for you, man. I wish I was there.
Anyway, but like, just because we decided to work through our vacation doesn't mean that the busy season isn't coming. Like, we had the last 2 years historically, we get really ginned up for the presidential race, and then the first thing that like reintroduces us to the fact that politics is the thing is the midterms. But we get a nice like year and a half nap where we don't think about politics, we don't freak out about it, and that's over. We're done. From here on out, it is literally just all about 2020. We might see somebody announce formally that they are running for president next week.
Yeah.
The rumors are that the first Democratic primary debates happen in March.
Wow. Great. Here's who better not be there, in my opinion. I don't want to see Bernie up there. I don't want to see Hillary Clinton up there. And I don't want to see Michael Avenatti Teddy Hetty Betty, whatever his name is.
Oh, he's running. He's running for sure. In fact, if I were to bet as to who will announce first, I would say it's probably Michael Avenatti, because he is media savvy and realizes that he can stay on TV, now that he's had a problem with that thus far.
No.
But he can stay on TV being the one person who's already announced, and he can just beat up on – it gives him license to beat up on everybody else before they're officially looking to run.
Yeah.
But no, he's doing it. There was a story that came out a couple of weeks ago about like how a lot of Bernie's old staffers think he's maybe too old to run, which you got to wonder who's another. In fact, it was he was too old, too male, and too white to run, which you got to wonder who's kind of in that Bernie lane that would probably be hiring old Bernie staffers that would want to point out that Bernie was old, white, and a guy. Old, white guy. What about a younger woman of color? I wonder if Kamala Harris hired any old Bernie staffers. But then like 2 days later, there was another leak. Like, you're already, if you pay attention to the press, to the political press, like they're all sniping at each other already. Just low key.
Of course they are.
Everybody's floating trial balloons. Everybody's taking low key shots at each other. It's going to get nasty, and it's going to get nasty fast.
Yeah. Well, I would keep my eye on Justin's feed, his show, his newsletter, and all of those things. Remind people where the newsletter is one more time before you get out of here.
Politicalnewsletter.com is where you go for that. You can go ahead and check out the essay I wrote about the 3 possible scenarios, as well as a bunch of handy links to where you can watch The returns come in tonight, as well as the final forecast from 5:38. And tonight, if you're in the Bay Area, man, come on out. We only got a few tickets left. But if you're not, twitch.tv/Justin R. Young is where you're going to be able to watch it. It'll be a mobile broadcast, so it's not going to be perfect, but we'll hopefully get an edited version with all the clean audio and pictures and everything up sooner rather than later.
This is fantastic. All of that and more. Justin R. Young on Twitter, everybody. Justin, take it easy. We'll see you next time. Bye.
See you, Gerbs.
Bye, Gerbs.
Gerbs.
I had to keep turning him up every time he talked because his volume was a little low.
It's getting a little low.
Yeah. So every once in a while you hear me or you go, oh, yeah. And I forget to turn it up or down. And so it's me, me and you going, burr, burr, burr.
Yeah. Super.
It's all right. Sometimes you got to make this stuff work. Brian, that brings us to the end of another podcast. However, I would like to tell people the following information. We'll be back tomorrow, and it'll be me and you and Nicole and Tom, and it'll be great. Very much looking forward to all that. Tom was missed at the thing.
Totally missed. Yeah.
Yeah. Didn't love not having Tom Merritt at BlizzCon.
Not as much of an ice cream social without Tom. Tristan and I still were able to make it happen, but it wasn't as social as it would be if Tom were there.
We were in the store basement for a while. John and I were trying to find an alternate route up into the main stage. We couldn't find it. There's actually a way, but they wouldn't let us. And while we're there, we're like, you know what? Let's get something while we're here. I got a Mountain Dew. John got a bowl of Dippin' Dots. He's never had them before.
Oh, yeah, I saw those down there, yeah.
And they piled it so high that he couldn't walk. He walked and just left a Dippin' Dot trail everywhere we went. It was great. It was super great. It was like a goat with diarrhea, just dropping a Dippin' Dot every 5 feet. It was fantastic. Anyway, before we go, a reminder to those in the chat room, if you'd like to participate in today's vote for, speaking of voting, vote for today's title. That's right, the title of today's show, which can be found at frogpants.showbot.tv. Someone will put it in the chat as well, so you can take care of that. Also, support us, please. We needs it over at patreon.com/TMS. That's a great place to do it. You get all kinds of cool stuff in the mail and otherwise. And even if you're just somebody who's like, I just want to throw $1 your way, $1 a month. Oh my gosh, it's the cheapest thing you could ever do. And we're willing to take it over at patreon.com/TMS. Big thanks to TMS Mashups for all our mashups. We'll play one of those tomorrow. Frogpants.com/TMS is our website. You'll find all our contact details there. We shall now leave you with music. Brian, play one. Yes.
Yes, Audie wrote in, said, hey, Bebop and Rocksteady, thrown out for a random day that Brian doesn't happen to have a request, which is today. Went down and into a cover rabbit hole and came across this cover of Who Wants to Live Forever. Yes, it's another postmodern jukebox cover, and as much as I don't usually listen to this older style of music, their covers have me loving it. Highlanders' There Can Be Only One apparently doesn't apply to covers of this song. Hope you dig it too. Lemon Tree, Audie.
Oh, I know what he means. That's a There Will Be Dungeons reference. Nice job, Audie. No way to sneak that in there, buddy.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, he's an artist too, and he's really good.
Oh, very good.
Yeah.
So yeah, Queen getting a lot of attention right now. You know why? Because that movie's out, and apparently it is kicking butt. I haven't seen Bohemian Rhapsody, the film, yet, for obvious reasons. But hoping to see it this weekend. Definitely want to see it this weekend because